So back in my model file here, I'm going to click my first warp deformer button. And because I don't have anything selected here, it's only going to allow me to set it as a parent, and that's okay because this is going to be the parent anyways. So let's start it off with our master body and then Z. So just following the exact same structure we have on the website here, let us just build out this hierarchy together. So master Z, and I know this is going to be controlling everything, so I'm going to want to resize it. And because it created it in the center, I'm going to want to hold Alt down to make sure that I keep the deformer centered. You do want to keep your deformers centered because in the future, when we move the head, say to the left or right, and we reflect our deformers over to the other side, I'll show you how to do that when we get there, we want it to be completely symmetrical. So having our deformers be right in the center of our canvas is going to be important to making sure that those reflections are completely symmetrical on either side. So there's our body Z, and it is covering everything, so I think that's okay. Let's again create a new deformer. Now we can set it as a child of the selected object, and let's make the next one down. So master body XY. We'll click create. Once that's created, you'll see that it made it smaller than the other master body deformer, but it's still too small because it's not covering all of our body pieces. So again, let's hold down Alt and let's resize it and make it a little bit bigger, but we don't want it to go outside the area of its parent deformer. So there's our parent deformer, and then its child deformer is slightly smaller than it, and so that is okay. Next we have our breathe deformer, so let's do that one. Set as a child, create, and we'll resize it to be smaller than the other one. Cool. Next, we have two deformers that are on the same level within our breathe parameter. It's kind of hard to see on the website here, but if you look, we have our breathe deformer, and then we have head X, which is in line with our body X. And that also makes sense with our example here. Our head and our body are on the same level just because this will move everything, and then these will move their parts separately. So same thing here. The head X and the body XY are on the same level. You can kind of, if you drew a line straight down, it would kind of connect there. So let's make sure that we do that for this model. So in our breathe, we have it selected. Let's make a new warp deformer. We will call it head X, and then we have this named in brackets as body X movement. That will be important later, so let's just follow that for now. We'll create, and then let's go back into the breathe deformer again and create another deformer, now as body XY. Now we can see that our breathe deformer has two deformers inside of it at the same level, and so those are good to go. Now here I have my head X kind of below my body deformer, and maybe I want to keep all my head parts above them in my hierarchy here. So what you can do with these deformers, if you just go into your parts window, is you can drag the deformers kind of up in the hierarchy here. So I just took my head X and moved it above my body one, and now everything I create inside of it, if I go back to my deformer tab here, will be above. So now making all my child deformers inside of this, they'll all remain above all my body parts, and that just helps for organization, keeping my head parts above my body parts. So let's resize our head X and our body X. For our head X, I'm going to hold down Shift and click on the middle. I want to keep it centered. I'm going to move the center of it to the center of her head, and then I'll grab a corner, hold down Alt again to keep it centered, and I'll make it bigger than her head. But again, you can see here, I'm trying to keep it inside of the area of my biggest deformers. I never want to go outside my master or biggest deformer. Everything must be within this area. So there we go. That looks good to me. And for our body one, I just want to make sure that it has all of our body parts in it. So I'll make it a little bit bigger, and maybe we'll make it a little bit smaller that way. So I don't really care about the head parts because the head parts aren't going to be in this deformer, just all of these body parts, and that looks okay to me. So now in our head deformer, let's make the hierarchy on our lesson. So now we can see head Z, rotation deformer, needs to be created underneath head X. So head X, let's click rotation deformer this time, set it as a child because it is inside of head X, and let's rename it to head Z rotation. We can click create, and that created our deformer inside of there. Now this rotation deformer, you can move it by clicking the center of it, holding down shift, and then dragging it downward. If you don't hold down shift, you can just move it wherever you'd like, but in this case, we want to keep it centered. And let's move it just kind of to the bottom of the chin. This is what's going to make the rotation of our head later, so having it at the chin is kind of the pivot point for the head. So now inside of our head Z rotation, we have face XY, ears XY, bangs XY, mid hair, back hair, and face parts. So let's make all of these now, and those are just regular warp deformers. So create, then we will name it face XY. And this is a child of the selected object, of course. And we have it as child, so we can create. Now, because we have it in a rotation deformer, it actually doesn't know the limits or the boundaries of this rotation deformer. So you can see it actually created it way down here. Now that's okay. We can just, again, grab it with shift and we'll move it all the way back up to the head. And then we can hold down Alt and resize it to the shape of the head. Now this is for our face. So the face parts are obviously this like head color here. So as long as it's bigger than those, that's okay. We're going to leave a little bit of room for any deformers that we make inside of there. Now a way to speed this up is we can actually just take the face XY deformer here. We can press Control C, or you can right click and copy. And then we can just press Control V. And that's going to make an identical deformer. So you can see here we have face XY and face XY. It just made an identical deformer to the one that we had, same shape, same everything, same position, still in head Z. And now we can just use this to name our next part. So ears XY is our next one. And that just speeds up the process than us going to this deformer, creating a new warp deformer, pressing create as a child, and then moving it back up again. We can now just take this, Control C, Control V, and bam, that made another one. So this new one can now become the bangs XY, right? And then we can resize it as needed. So, I mean, it covers our bangs already, so it's okay. And we can do that for the rest of them. So bangs, we'll make one for the mid hair. That's this one. Paste again. This is for the back hair. I'll paste again. This is for the face. So there we go. I'm just going to go down to the next one right here. Let's name this one mid hair. And the next one, let's name this one back hair. And then our last one, we'll name this one face parts. So there we go, just a faster way to make all these, and now you can see they're all here, they're all ready to go. And then lastly, in our face parts, we have eyebrows, nose, mouth, and eyes. So let's make those. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make one of them first. I'll name it eyebrows. Eyebrows XY, it's a child, we'll press OK. Then I'll just copy it, Control C, paste for the nose, paste for the mouth, paste for the eyes. And then I'll just rename these ones individually. So we have eyebrows up top. Next we have nose. After that we have mouth. And then lastly we have eyes. So there we go. Now I can reshape all of these. So the eyes I'm going to make, I'm going to hold down Alt to make sure I resize around the center. Eyes, I'm going to make sure it covers my eyes, something like that. My mouth, I'm going to move to center around my mouth, and we'll resize to be bigger than the mouth. My nose, same thing, we'll resize to be around our nose. So we can keep things kind of bigger for now. As we go to rig the specific parts, we can adjust these even further. And this one's my eyebrows, so let's just make it bigger than my eyebrows. So there we go. Now we have our eyebrows around our eyebrows, nose on nose, mouth around mouth, and eyes around our eyes. The last part we need to do is our body deformers. So I'm going to do the same thing. We have torso, neck, arms, waist, clear skirt, armor skirt, hips, legs. So let's do that now. New deformer, torso XY, torso XY, there we go. We will click create, then I will copy, paste for the neck, paste for the arms, for the waist, clear skirts, armor skirts, hips, and legs. And now I'll just rename all of these. Torso goes to neck, next one down goes to arms, next one down goes to waist, next one down goes to clear skirts, The one after that is the armor skirt. One after that is the hips. And then finally, after that, we have the legs. Now, once again, we can take all of these and resize them to be around our parts. So the legs, I want to cover all of our legs. I'm going to give it extra room, just because if we make deformers inside of the leg deformer, we want there to be extra room. The hips, we're going to go around kind of our hip area here. Again, just get the general area for it. You don't have to be perfect with the sizing, because we will shift these deformers and resize them when we go to rig those specific parts. The clear skirt, same thing here. Let's just make it slightly bigger than everything. The waist, we'll go around the waist. The arms, fully around the arms. The neck. Oh, make sure to hold down Alt, there you go. And the torso. Make it something like that. And so there we go. We've created the exact same hierarchy as we have on our lesson here. And then you can compare by downloading this file. You can compare yours to the one that I made, or if you're happy with it, you can just use yours or you can use mine. But at least now you know how to create a hierarchy for yourself. The very last thing that we need to do now that we have our hierarchy created is to take all of our different parts and drag them into their respected deformers. So I start from the top. I have eyebrow left and I have eyebrow right. I know these are going to go into my eyebrows. I have an eyebrow shadow. These are actually going to go into my eye parts. Okay. My bangs, all here, are going to go into my bangs, and kind of so on and so forth. Now, again, you can compare with the file here because this is kind of a kind of guess and check type thing. So mid-hair, obviously these would go into mid-hair. But for stuff like blush, like you probably wouldn't know where blush goes, but it goes into the face parts, right? Or sorry, the face XY. And so, yeah, you kind of just have to kind of guess where might these parts go, and then use my file to really compare. Because for every model, it's going to be different. For every model, you're going to have different parts. You're not really going to know exactly where parts go. So it's really kind of just a guess and check and seeing what deformers might actually be moving what. So in this case, for the Lua model, I'm just going to go through it here with you guys now, but you can download that file and compare it with yours afterwards. So I have eye highlights, and I know eye highlight all the way down. There's my eye white, so this is all in my right eye. But I also want to get all of my left eye as well. So all of these parts, the highlights, the eyelashes, the pupils, the iris, and the eye whites, all of these are going into eyes as well. My nose dots and my nose highlights into nose. I have a temporary mouth here, which honestly we can delete right now. And then we have our top lip all the way down to our mouth back. Those are all going in mouth. We have head lines and head. All three of these are going to go into the face XY. We have earrings all the way down to our back earring here, including our ears. Those are all going into ears. We have chest bra. We have the protagonist badge, which is all of the kind of chest area stuff that we had, all the way down until collarbone. These are all our torso. You can see that by clicking and dragging them out here. You can see all of these are like kind of the breast or torso area. So let's drag those into torso. We have these two sleeves. These will be a part of the arms. We have a neck shadow. Now this is the shadow on the neck from the head. So this is actually going to move with our head, so with our face. So we'll put that in the face one. Our neck is going to go into the neck one. We have boots here. These go into legs. We have belt buckle, and we have our skirt stuff. So armor skirt all the way here. Those are going to go into armor skirt. Our clear skirt into clear skirt. Bikini is going to go into hips. We have leg parts. All of these leg parts go into legs. And then, oh, I accidentally opened, or I didn't move them to the right spot. Make sure you have it highlighted and then drop them in. Clear skirt to clear skirt. These boot backs into legs. These sleeves, these are the shadow from the kind of shirt sleeves on the arms. So these will be on the arms deformer as well. Now, it's a little tricky, but these armpit parts actually go into the torso. on our arms because they're going to stay kind of with the shape of our torso, not our arms moving. So they go there. And then we have a bunch of fingers and arm parts. Those all go into arms. Then we have these shirt straps. That's going to be a part of the torso. Next, we have a like chest shadow all the way down to like the parts of our shirt. So these here, these are all a part of our waist. We have our torso, which is a part of our torso. We have the back of these sleeves from our shirt. They go into arms. And then lastly, we have all of our back hair, which goes into our back hair. And so there we go. Now we can see that each of our deformers with their respective parts now have each of the parts inside of them. So you can see if we go to move the face parts, it'll move only the face parts. The ear will only move the ears, right? Our torso part, our torso deformer, will only move the parts of our torso. And so there you go. That is how we make our deformer hierarchy, and that is how you organize all your parts into their respective deformers.